What is going on, everybody? As always, a big thank you to everybody who clicked on the video. I greatly appreciate that, as always. Now, instead of a ROM hack video, I'm going to actually be taking a look at a custom fan-made copy and port of none other than Pokemon Silver for the Nintendo 64. Alright, here we have Pokemon Silver for the Nintendo 64, no less. This is my, of course, favorite console of all time. So, yeah, I mean, aside from this just being the most aesthetically pleasing thing I've ever seen, I don't know about you guys, but I think this thing looks amazing. Now, there's a good chance you've seen this or things like this floating around online. Etsy is where I found mine, maybe other websites as well. I'll, of course, have a link to all of this down below, but I, like you, was probably a little curious to see exactly what this had to offer, exactly what I'd be getting myself into. Most of the sellers, there's no shortage of them, believe me. Most of them were pretty vague, though, in their descriptions. I kind of knew what I was probably getting myself into, but I wasn't 100% sure. And unsurprisingly, I had a Gen 2 itch that I needed to scratch, so I figured why not go with a, I guess, budget way to play these games. You know, obviously I could plug in Stadium 2, but of course you have to have Stadium 2, a transfer pack, a working game with a working battery. Sometimes that can be an expensive process, so I figured why not check out this sort of budget and unique and nice looking way to possibly play some of these older Pokemon games on the Nintendo 64. So that's what we're going to be checking out today, guys. So let's take a look. And real quick, I'll go ahead and answer the question. Yes, the other versions of Pokemon are on the 64 as well. Like I said, there's tons out there. You can, of course, get the first generation, red, blue, yellow, even green is out there as well as the Gen 2 games, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. I obviously went with Silver here because, in my opinion, yellow, and green were probably the most aesthetically pleasing. I thought they looked the best, but that's just me. That's for you guys to decide, I suppose. But like I said, I went with Silver. Right, let's go ahead and take a look now at this case, this classic N64 case here. I'm really liking the way this looks. Like I said, once I saw they had the box, I knew I had to get this. I knew I had to do a video on this. This alone, I thought looked really cool, and once I saw I could get a matching box for it, game over. I had to do it. Let's just take a look at this. I mean, seriously, this just looks good. God, Pokemon Silver has never looked better, right? Got, of course, Suicune here. Flip it over to the back here, talking a little bit more about Silver version. Probably all stuff you've probably already seen before. This is a pretty similar text to what we've probably seen on the back of an actual Pokemon Silver game, but here it is here on the back of this custom box. Looking very, very good. I'm not going to bother reading all that. We've probably all seen it before. Take a look up here real quick. Obviously, not going to be able to use a link cable or infrared or printer on this thing. That is one of the drawbacks, you know. You're not going to be able to get all of the trading. You know, you're not going to be able to catch them all, essentially. It says, got to catch even more. Unfortunately, no trading in here. That is one drawback to these games. I have seen some cartridges, or some sellers claim that their cartridges have been modded to where you can get these, evolutions through like trade stones and things like that. But as far as I know, this one right here does not do that. So just keep that in mind. Of course, we've got red right here, and then we've got Togepi and Sudowoodo. I love Sudowoodo. But yeah, all the different colors here looking just amazing. Of course, Steelix right here as well. This whole this whole case just looks phenomenal. I'm really, really glad I went with that. Now, I did already take it all out, but I do have the carrying tray, all cardboard, of course. Went ahead and took it out because I don't like opening this thing as much as I can. I always feel like I'm going to rip it. It is, of course, just cardboard, technically, so try to be a little careful with that if I can. Nothing crazy. I'm pretty bad at folding, so don't know how well I actually did that, but we do have that. Now, I did have the option to do this with or without it, but I went ahead and decided to swing with it. I wanted to see what it was like, but of course, I did get the trainer's guide with this as well. Most N64 games, and I'm pretty sure most Game Boy games, usually come with some sort of, I guess, guidebook, if you will. Most games don't really do that anymore, but I went ahead and wanted to check this out. It is, if you are all familiar with the original Pokemon games, it's literally just that from the Game Boy, but blown up and stretched to the size of an N64 booklet. I like it. Admittedly, as good as it looks, it is a little blurry. I don't know how well you can tell, but everything is 100% legible in here. Like I said, it looks great, but it is essentially the same thing, obviously, for the Game Boy here, just stretched up a little bit. So a little bit blurry. That's probably the only drawback I've got with this so far, but it looks great nonetheless. Like I said, everything's legible. It looks great. And like I said, I just kind of wanted the whole, CIB, right? It's not CIB without the booklet. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of neat. I thought we'd show that a little. Oh, here we got the gym leaders. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. Purely for the sake of comparison, I do have my only other Nintendo 64 box here. Obviously, it's pretty old and beat to hell. It's seen better days, but it's what we've got for comparison. So you can tell right away the box size is pretty much exactly the same. I mean, I think they got the dimensions down pretty much spot on. I'll go ahead and whip out the game here. Jet Force Gemini, great game. Play it if you haven't, but everything, I mean, I know you guys can't feel it, but weight-wise, I mean, it feels pretty much exactly the same. The only difference I think I really noticed was probably this looks a little bit lighter. And obviously you can tell the Nintendo logo is just a little bit different there, but I figured we'd go ahead and point all that out, and I'll go ahead and bring the instruction booklets out for comparison as well. Get the whole CIB action going. This is obviously way thicker, you can kind of tell. But this, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. Yeah, far less pages. Maybe a little less blurry. Like I said, everything in the silver version was legible, though. Everything's looking good, though. I really do like the way all this comes out. You can kind of tell this very similar. We've got different colors going on each side. I really like the way that all turned out. Everything turned out very good with this box. I'm very, very, very impressed with how that all looks. Without further ado, I guess we'll go ahead and pop this into the Nintendo 64 and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so we finally got Pokemon Silver plugged into the 64, and since this is just Pokemon Silver version and not some ROM hack that I need to explore, I'll probably just have some general footage of me playing. And of course, it is worth noting that I'm playing and recording on an old CRT TV. One, because that is how I like to play my old consoles, and it's kind of the way they were meant to be played. And two, hopefully to show you a more authentic and real experience rather than just screen recording something. Now with that out of the way, there are a couple things worth mentioning about this cartridge. First and foremost, you have the ability to quick save using the yellow C buttons on your controller. I believe the down button quick saves the game, and then if you hold up, it'll actually load the game from your last quick save. A very neat addition to the game, very beneficial. I can see that coming in handy a lot. And it is also worth mentioning that, of course, the clock in this game does not work. They don't typically work in these reproduction games. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In this case, they don't. But you do have the ability to access this menu with the left C button, where you can actually change the time to whatever and whenever you want. So, yes, the clock doesn't work, but also it doesn't really matter because you can always just adjust it to whatever you might need for evolutions and whatnot. Also in this menu, you can change the size of your game as well as the display. There's also this erase option, which you could probably imagine will erase your game. I personally didn't really want to click on that. Didn't seem like something I should test at the moment. I didn't really want to lose all my progress, but we can imagine what the erase button will do. You can just imagine. And lastly, one thing that I always found great about playing on the Stadium games was the Doduo and Dodrio speed that you could play the games on. It was like times 10 speed or something crazy like that, and the Dodrio was even faster. Not exactly sure how fast it was, but you could beat a Pokemon game in an afternoon if you wanted to. It was really cool. And thankfully, this game can be played at times 2 speed while holding down the right C button. It's not as fast nor as smooth looking as playing on the Game Boy Tower, but I'm still very glad that they put something like this in the game. I was a little hesitant at first, but I found myself using it during like the heavy grinding portions of the game, so definitely came in handy, and I'm glad that they put some sort of speed function in this game. So overall, I did have a fun experience playing Pokemon Silver version on the custom 64 cartridge. It loads and plays just fine. You can save, and you can quick save, which is pretty cool. I managed to make it all the way through to the end, through the Elite Four. I even got creamed by Red, all the classic Gen 2 shenanigans. Didn't come across any issues while I was playing. The only thing I was a little worried about at first was the times 2 speed. It looks a little laggy, but it ended up being fine. It works just fine, and I used it for a good portion of the game off and on. Now, is this the best way to play the old Pokemon games on the big screen? Probably not, but it is a fun budget alternative that offers a really good experience to whoever plays the game, It's just another option out there, another choice for you. There's the Stadium games with the transfer pack, or there's the Super Game Boy on the SNES, or there's this. Alright, that brings us to the end of the video here, and I just want to say again real quick that I had a ton of fun playing through Silver version here on the N64. This cartridge, everything checks out, everything's great. I had no speed bumps along the way, and I really love that they added the ×2 speed. I didn't know that that was going to be in there, but that was really, really cool that it was. It was a very pleasant addition. And of course, let's not forget this Pokemon Silver version custom N64 box. I'm really amazed at how this turned out. Everything was great with this. Just looks so amazing and almost so official. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. A great addition to the collection for sure. So if you guys liked the video or got anything out of it, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. That would be very beneficial to the channel, and I would greatly appreciate that. And of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask those in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer those. But until next time, I'll see you all later.